I guess the first question is when Abbas kind of brings this story to you in this character, what was your first impressions basically?
He didn't bring a story. I went to Tehran to meet with him because I didn't think the film could be possible with him because he's working mostly with non-actors and in his country, and I don't think as a French actress I could play there. Maybe, I don't know. But one evening he started telling me about the story that happened to him in Italy with a woman and how it happened, and was kind of fascinated by, this woman craziness. And at the end of the story, he said, "You believe me?" And I said, "Yes." And then he said, "Well, it's not true." And I laughed because I couldn't imagine he would spend so much time in details. It felt so real. And then a few days after, he said to me, "It'd be great to find a producer and to go for it." So it came like this. But also a natural conversation would be about men and women's relationship and my private life, his private life, and we would chat a lot about, these big themes about, men and women's relationships. And I think this film is an echo of this kind of friendship and laugh we shared a lot.
Yeah. The relationship, I guess, is very sort of mysterious and ambiguous. So do you kind of have in your head, do you have a definitive kind of thing that you think what it is, basically? Because there's some, they think more maybe they knew each other before.
I mean, it's very real in a way, because I think that in our head, as we're talking like this, I may think something of your life and my life, and the imagination makes you travel so easily back and forth.
Yeah.
As you can imagine we're married, or you can imagine that we don't know each other, or and in a film it just makes this inside reality into real reality, because they speak out what maybe they're feeling. So it's just taking this, an hour and a half of this relationship. At the beginning they don't know each other, at the end they're like a couple. It's like 15 years put in an hour and a half. So movies allow to do this kind of tricks with time, with condensing life, and so in that way it feels very real to me, as completely a fantasy. But when I watch the film, it just mostly makes me laugh. For me, it's a comedy. I mean, with layers of depth and sort of tragic. How do we get along, being so different? But mainly, it makes me laugh. When they in the restaurant where they're talking and they almost spitting at each other, and they don't know yet who they are. They don't know each other. It's funny.
I was wondering, with William hadn't acted before. Did you kind of meet him and talk a lot before, or did you kind of go straight into it? Because then you didn't.
No, we had 2 weeks of rehearsals with the director, and then after that we took some time, apart in order to. So he feels more comfortable as well, because it's there's a journey to go through when you've never acted, and also because he knew the script by heart from first page to the last page at the beginning of rehearsal. So I was very impressed. But he's learned it like a musician, like a partition, And as an actor, I think you get into it in a different way. And so I wanted to make sure that he relates his own life with the lines. So it's not about just saying lines, saying words. It's related to him.
Yeah. Do you think there's an advantage being that he's an Englishman? Because I think there's a stereotype that Englishmen are quite guarded and reserved, and that's maybe why your character wants to kind of penetrate into this and find out more.
I think it probably happens also in Iran, because that's what Abbas is saying in the film, is that men tends to protect themselves with thoughts, with ideas, with trying to feel, sort of control thing with a head. And as women, they're more exposed emotionally. It doesn't mean that men cannot be emotional, but just the first, approach is probably with a little more distance for men. And so he wanted to show, in a way, that we're very different. Our guts, behave in a different way. But I think that probably it's right maybe at the beginning, but as you're going in maturity throughout life, I think that maybe there's a possible connection there, that men are emotionally more open, because when you've been, a little moved by life, you're more open in a certain way, and maybe women, they don't put everything they want to put on men because, you know, it's I think maturity brings a lot of sort of, I don't know the word innocent being the right one, but a lot of more be more available for the other. That's what I believe.
Okay.